A quick heads up, Ogres. Apparently my mic connection is loose on this podcast, and I'm primarily being picked up by Brandon's mic. I tried to boost myself where I could, but I'm still a little hard to hear, and you can hear every mouth sound Brandon is making. So, the holiday curse continues. Enjoy the show.
Prepare yourselves for a battle of epic proportions between two titans. Feast upon their voices and revel in their words. This is Dueling Ogres.
Hello, Ogres, and welcome to episode 30. Thank you for joining us, as always, on this joyous Wednesday evening. Earth date, December 17th, 2014. I'm your host, Remington Hitchcock, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Brandon Full. Say hello, Brandon.
It's Christmas time.
It's Christmas.
In Hollis, Queens.
Queens.
Mom's cooking chicken and collard greens.
Holla.
One of the best Christmas songs of all time.
Oh, man, I totally forgot to look up, Christmas movies.
Oh, I gotcha.
Okay.
I got some Christmas movies.
Alright, cool. Good. So, how are you this holiday season?
Good. Your house is fucking cold.
Yeah, it's a little chilly in here.
Yeah, my fingers are freezing.
I wanted it to be that way.
Why?
So we could feel the holiday season in our bones and our
I
chilly,
guess it works
bones.
then. It is slightly snowing in here. How fucking cold it is. Jesus.
It could be worse.
Well, yeah, of course, but...
It's weird that the heater in here probably needs to be replaced, but that's a whole lot of money that we don't have.
Well, I can go ahead and settle that debate and say there's no probably about it, because it's like 12 degrees in this house.
It's not 12 degrees. It's like 63.
Still. Too cold.
But when that heater kicks on, you'll know it.
So we're talking about heaters this episode.
We're going to talk about heaters. No, this is our Christmas episode.
I had a whole 2 pages of notes on Kenmore. Shit.
Damn it. Ah. I lost my train of thought completely. This is our Christmas
Just keep
episode.
thinking about Kenmore.
Yeah. This is our Christmas episode. We are going to be talking about all kinds of Christmas stuff in the continuing tradition of doing holiday-themed episodes.
Yeah, I guess this is only our second one since the Thanksgiving episode
Crapped on us.
crapped out, so...
Yeah.
If this one craps out, we know we're just cursed and we shouldn't do holiday episodes.
Agreed.
Maybe it was because we made fun of witches in the Thanksgiving, or the
Oh my god, you're right.
Halloween episode.
You're right. The witches cursed us.
Yeah.
Cursed our podcast.
Makes
Why
sense.
would they do that?
I don't know. I don't think it was the witches that cursed this podcast.
It was just me.
Just specifically you.
My lack of checking our equipment. Well, I checked it this time. I didn't check it last time, but I checked it this time.
Did you make sure that we're recording fine?
Yeah.
This is all thrilling listening.
I know, it really is. Are you still with us, listeners? Because we're not.
So yeah, we have some Christmas tradition stuff. Going to talk about our own Christmas traditions, memories, etc. I kind of wanted to have Christmas music playing in the background.
Which I might still do. I thought of that as well.
But I think it might be distracting if it plays the whole time. I thought you may be playing it on the back of your computer. But even then, I don't know the legality of having Christmas music play.
Well, there's a lot of the older stuff that is free to use, even if somebody new has put it out. And, if I just do an instrumental, no big deal.
Yeah, it does still depend, though. Most Christmas songs are in the public domain to cover, but using somebody's cover of a public domain song isn't covered.
That's what we have Incompetech for. He's got a lot of stuff up there for Christmas as well. And he releases it all free use. So, as long as we credit him at the end. So
I don't credit anybody for anything. I don't even acknowledge my mother.
Incompetech.com is where I got our opener music and completely cut it down to a little snippet of...
And by God, it's the best opening music I've ever heard in my entire life.
You still hate the opening music?
No, I love the opening music. I just think it's too long.
I think you're too long.
I can sometimes be too long. I'm trying to fit into a steamer trunk.
Yeah.
Too long. Our bathtub, little too long.
That's ridiculous. All right, so we're going to open up with the Krampus.
Can I say right off the bat that I'm fucking sick of the Krampus?
Really?
Yeah. The Krampus is in everything all the time now.
It is. It is. It has seen a huge resurgence.
Well, a huge resurgence in America. I mean, I don't even know if you would call it a resurgence. Just a surgence in America.
Just a surgence, yes. Most recently, some of the bumps that Adult Swim have been doing has featured a Krampus sitting on a throne saying crazy things in a German accent.
Yeah.
So, I haven't seen a whole lot of it to quote anything, but, there's that.
Well, a few years ago, The Office did an episode about the Krampus.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith, on his podcast and stuff, talks a lot about the Krampus and was originally doing a Krampus horror movie.
Right.
I don't think it's happening anymore.
Mm.
But
so, the Krampus, by and large, for those of you who don't know...
Wait, isn't the Krampus what women have during their periodus?
Yes, that's what they have during their periodus. Is by and large a humanoid figure with the characteristics of a goat, in that he generally has horns and hooves and is covered in hair, which is usually brown, black, and gray in color. It's thought that the early Christians tried to demonize the character, and so gave him a frightening visage with pointed teeth, long pointed tongue, and reptilian eyes. And they also believe that the chains and bells that rattle as he moves were added in an effort to bind the demonic entity. He can be found through post-Christian history coupled with St. Nicholas on the Feast of St. Nicholas Day in Europe, which falls on December 6th, and is his counterpart in that he will punish the naughty children with birch branches, or occasionally whips, depending on where you're at in Europe.
Mm. Or what he can find at the S&M store at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
You're out of whips?
Or in the case of particularly naughty children, he will drag them off into the dark forest for whatever nefarious purposes he sees fit.
I mean, we know what he's doing with those kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even think we have to say it.
Yeah. Rape.
The Krampus is thought to derive from Germanic and pagan rituals and has seen a resurgence in today's culture, or a surgence, as we said. On a side note, I like to make the comparison to James Marley in A Christmas Carol by Dickens.
Mm-hmm.
While most people are pretty aware that damned souls are bound in chains, that's a common thing in Christian tradition.
Yeah.
Early Christian traditions. I find it interesting that Marley is allowed to confront Scrooge on this holiday, basically in an effort to frighten him into changing his ways and giving him the warning of the night to come. So I thought that's an interesting connection in that the Krampus runs around with chains, scaring people straight, basically.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Marley was trying to do to Scrooge.
Is that why Marley appears in chains? Because, like, that kind of ghosts were written to appear in chains because they were kind of bound to the afterworld?
Yeah, they were damned souls and their chains were... If I remember correctly, Dickens says that the chains are a representation of his greed.
Oh.
If I remember correctly. So, but I still think it's an interesting connection there. So in today's culture, especially in Europe, in the 20th century, the Austrian government discouraged the practice. In the aftermath of the 1934 Austrian Civil War, the Krampus tradition was prohibited by the Dollfuss regime under the Fatherland's Front and the Christian Social Party. In the 50s, the government distributed pamphlets titled, "Krampus is an Evil Man." And towards the end of the century, a popular resurgence of Krampus celebrations occurred and continues today. There has been many public debate in Austria in modern times about whether the Krampus is appropriate for children. And as far as that goes, I think so. I mean, there's a stigma in Dungeons and Dragons where if there is good, there should always be evil.
Mm-hmm.
And in other fantasy tropes, where there is good, there has to be evil in order to equal out.
Yeah.
So, I think the idea of something evil, scaring children to be good is not necessarily a bad thing.
So you just want children to be unhappy too?
I don't want them to be unhappy.
It's like, all right, here's Christmas. You get all these gifts and it's a time of joy, but I also want to scare the shit out of you a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of talk about how, parents aren't properly punishing their children, and kids these days, shaking his cane,
Yeah.
Are completely, kids have no respect these days. And even just walking through someplace, I noticed that people in general, but a lot of times kids, younger people in general, they're just not paying attention to anything around them, and they won't move out of your way. There's no opening the door for somebody to let them through, things of that nature.
So we need a goat-headed demon to remind them?
Yes, that they're being bad.
I don't know. I don't know if kids are more disrespectful now than they were. I think we're just getting older. I think, when we're out shopping and we're going to the mall, like we'll use the mall as an example because that's where teenage kids hang out, right? The mall or the malt shop or wherever there's a jukebox, the kids will be there.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think just we're getting older and we're like, I gotta go to the mall and I gotta do the shopping, and you see kids dicking off, and it's just a reminder of how we're slowly aging and dying.
I don't know, because even when I was a kid, I was always that polite kid who'd hold open the door for an old lady or something to that effect, or help somebody out who's...
Well, yeah, but we knew a lot of people who didn't do that.
Yeah.
I think kids are always just, especially teenagers, they're just always kind of shitty.
Yeah.
No matter what. We're just getting older and we're like, kids.
Kids.
I think we look back on when we were young, and I think everybody does this, looks back when they were younger with like, I would never do that.
Right.
I would hold a door for every old woman,
Yeah.
I'd take my shirt off and throw it in a puddle.
Only the hot ones.
Only the hot old women.
Only the hot old ladies.
Damn, Grandma.
You know what you are? You are a G-MILF. That means a grandma I'd like to...
I think that Eastern Europe has some of the best folklore ever.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, like, what can you think of out of specifically American folklore? Well, we've got, like, Paul Bunyan.
Right. He was a cool character, though.
Is it
giant blue
Pecos
ox.
Bill?
Yes, I believe so.
The guy who wrangled a tornado and wrote it?
Yeah.
I mean, those are pretty good, but then you go back to Romania and Austria and stuff like that, and their folklore's like, yeah, it's a goat demon that walks around.
Yeah.
And it fucking whips kids who are shitty. Like, that's pretty cool.
He's just a little god demon. He's going to punish your children.
It's interesting that belief never came to America, though, because, especially with all the immigrants from the 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
That the whole idea of Krampus never really came over.
Yeah, it didn't really seem to, no.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because a lot of immigrants coming over from Austria were in the 20s, before World War II.
Right.
And that would fit in with the timeline of the government being more like, Krampus is a bad guy.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the people that came over just kind of took that belief with them.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. So the first time that I actually, had any experience with the Krampus was during the Venture Brothers Christmas episode.
I was going to bring that up, too.
Yeah.
When Dr. Orpheus, is he the one that summons the Krampus, or does the Krampus just show up?
I think the Krampus just shows up, but Dr. Orpheus is explaining what the Krampus is.
As he's holding Dr. Venture upside down and whipping him.
Yeah.
That was such a good episode.
It so was.
Because that had my favorite character that has ever been in the Venture Brothers.
Oh, yeah?
Tiny Joseph. Do you remember him?
Yes.
He's a nativity scene-sized spy. Tiny Joseph! And Tiny Joseph appeared in another episode, too. I can't remember. Yeah, it was a real quick. I think he was in jail. You just saw him for 30 seconds, if even that, but yeah.
So, yeah, that was my first experience with the Krampus, and that was like, what is this Krampus, and why do I not know about it? I like the idea of the Krampus, even if he is getting a little overplay in America.
You like him because he's punishing children?
Yes. Because I hate kids. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't hate kids, and kids love me, especially babies and stuff. Ginger's like, I don't know what it is, but every time we go into a store, you just see some little baby just staring at Remington, and then...
Is it because you owe them money?
Yeah.
Where's my money? Where's my money, bitch?
Don't look at that baby. Shit.
Don't make eye contact.
I ripped him off for $20 a couple weeks ago. I don't think he'll cause a scene in here, but...
But I'm always making faces at them, making them laugh and stuff, so...
But in your head, you're just thinking God, I wish a giant goat demon would come and just whip the shit out of you.
Yeah. That's usually what goes through my brain. So what do you have?
I have a bunch of different weird traditions from around the world.
You definitely have the better notes. As much as I enjoy the Krampus.
Here's what I've got first. This is from Greenland.
Okay.
And this is a traditional Christmas meal.
All right.
It's called kiviak, something like that.
Okay.
And here's what you do to make yourself a good kiviak. I'm going to go ahead and give the generalized recipe for how you make this, okay?
Okay.
You want to start at least 3 months before Christmas. It can be up to 18 months you can let this cook.
Oh my.
So 3 months is the minimum. So let's say June you're starting.
Okay.
So what you need to do is find yourself a seal. You're in Greenland, not a problem.
Right.
Everybody's got a seal. Go down to Kroger or wherever, your local, your Piggly Wiggly. Buy yourself a seal.
So wait, they don't have Kroger's, but they have Piggly Wigglies?
No, whoever's listening,
Right.
Just whatever's closest to them.
Okay.
Find yourself a seal. If it's not dead, kill it.
With a club.
Yeah, however you want to do it.
Mostly clubs.
I mean, club
Or a polar bear.
club music. You can kill it with that, depending on how it feels about techno. So yeah, you want to cut it open. You want to get just its skin. You want to gut everything out of it, so it's just its skin and a layer of fat underneath.
Gotcha.
Then you want to make that into a bag, some sort of satchel.
Okay.
Then you want to find, this is going to be a little tougher. You need to find a bird called the auk, which is apparently a native bird of Greenland.
Okay.
So, and you're going to need about 500 of these birds.
Wow.
So, go ahead and put in your orders through Amazon now. Now you're going to take those birds, and you're going to shove them inside this seal bag.
Whole?
Yeah, whole. Feathers, beak, everything. And just shove them inside there.
Okay.
Then you're going to sew up that seal bag. You're going to cover the whole thing in fat. Rub it down real good. Then you're going to stick it under a bunch of rocks.
All right.
And you're going to let it fester and rot for between 3 to 18 months. Then Christmas Day, you're going to cut that sack open and you're going to eat these birds. These rotted birds.
Wow.
Apparently it smells like Stilton cheese. I don't know what Stilton cheese is. I'm guessing it's a gross smelling cheese. Just from context clues, I'm assuming that this does not smell good.
Stilton?
That's something with as I was making these notes, Greenland and Norway and Finland and those kind of countries, they have a lot of food that consists of take this thing and bury it for a while until it's rotten and then you can eat it.
Right.
Like lutefisk, I think it is, where they take a fish and
lutefisk, yeah.
shove it in the ground and then it's it's rotten now, yum.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe...
Yeah, it's very tasty.
I don't think they invented fire in Norway or Finland to cook things, so...
Clearly.
I don't know.
Well, we can't make any fires, so we'll just shove it in the ground and hope that it tastes good in a few months.
So yeah, would you try that, you think? I mean, people eat it.
Well, yeah. Different cultures have different taste buds.
And what I did is I looked up strange Christmas traditions in other countries. So again, I don't know if this is something that everybody in Greenland eats, how big of a tradition it is, or whether it's we haven't eaten that in fucking 20 years.
Or a real super local tradition. Would I try it? Probably not. I have a real bad problem with smells. I
mean, because if it's buried for at least 3 months, the beaks and feathers, those aren't going to matter. I mean, it's probably all kind of melted into
just some
decomposed mush at that point.
Yeah, some decomposed goulash.
Throw a wreath on it, Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
All right, next place we got is Catalonia, Spain.
Catalonia, Spain.
They build their traditional nativity scenes.
Okay.
But their nativity scenes won't just be the manger, like the American nativity scenes, a manger and Mary and Joseph and whatever.
Yeah.
They'll build an entire town. Their nativity scenes are big.
Okay.
And amongst the other things that are in there, besides clothes washers and things like that they'll add other figurines for, there's something called the Kaganer.
Okay.
If I'm pronouncing that right, which translates to the shitter. And what this is a
I like where this is going.
It's a figurine
of
a man wearing a red Christmas hat.
Okay.
With his pants around his ankles, dropping a deuce. Perfectly coiled shit that's also built into the porcelain figurine.
So, Did it expound upon what the shitter's purpose was?
Yeah, it is a symbol of fertility. Fertility not in the pregnant woman sense, but in the sense of your fields and stuff.
Okay.
Because poop is used for fertilizer.
Right.
So it's kind of a symbol of that.
I mean, couldn't they have just used, like, a cow with a Christmas hat on, maybe? Or
That's ridiculous.
Does it have to be a dude?
How are you going to find a hat big enough to fit a cow?
Well, I mean, you just kind of drape it over one horn or something.
Then it's not wearing it, though.
It's still wearing it. It's just not properly fitted.
Okay, you take a Christmas hat and you put it on your hand like a glove.
Right.
Are you wearing that hat?
Yes, on my hand. I am wearing that hat.
But you are wearing it. Okay, so putting a Christmas hat on a cow's horn or a bull's horn.
Right.
It is wearing that.
Yes. You can put it on its tail for all I care. It's still wearing it.
So whenever they put this figurine in their nativity scenes, part of the fun is having friends come over and try to find where they've hidden the Caganer.
I like it.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
I kind of want to order a Caganer figure, just hide it somewhere in the house.
In recent years, they've started making the Caganer out of political figures, and I found a site with a whole bunch of different Barack Obamas.
Oh, God.
With his pants down taking a shit that you can order for, your Catalonian nativity scene.
How thoroughly Republican. That's a good one. I like that one.
I thought you would enjoy that.
Yeah. Any time I can...
Anything about poop you love.
Yeah, anything we can work a poop reference into.
You're just a little poop monster. You love them.
I love the poops.
I mean, you've got to...
Don't like the smell, love the idea.
Pull up on Google Images a picture. Just search Caganer.
Okay. So, having looked up pictures of the Caganer, the first one that really caught my eye, aside from some of the just random people who do it, there is a mall somewhere, it doesn't say where it is just a giant Caganer display in the mall with a tree and everything. It's probably 6 or 7 people tall. Like, it's going all the way up to the second floor of this mall.
Is he gripping the Christmas tree?
Yeah, he's putting a candy cane on the Christmas tree while he's dropped out taking a shit. That's hilarious. I love it.
See, my favorite out of those images you searched is the one of Spider-Man.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ones. You can get a Michael Jackson Caganer. You can... You can get a Queen of England. You can get a Lady Gaga.
I kind of like the Pope one.
The Pope one is thoroughly enjoyable. There's a SpongeBob one. This one, though.
Yeah, I think that one we'll put up on our Facebook page.
Okay.
After this episode.
So we'll save that one. You can, if you're listening to it, you have to go to the Facebook page, and this one will be our cover photo.
That's good. I don't know if that's going to be our cover photo,
no,
is it?
It should totally be our cover
Our cover photo?
Yes. We want you to be aware of what the Caganer is.
This one really caught your imagination. I like that.
I like. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. There's an Einstein one that makes me crack up. Well, here I am, just taking a shit on Christmas. It says E equals MC squared at the base.
It says E equals MC squared at the base?
Yes. The Obama one says, yes, we can, at the bottom of the base. Oh,
so yeah, from what I was reading,
there's a Gandhi one and an Elvis one.
At this point, it's a tradition, but it's kind of more of a fun tradition, which is why you can get, a SpongeBob or a Spider-Man or an Einstein one.
Yeah.
And none of these are wearing the red hats.
Martha Stewart one. Oh no, it's supposed to be Angela Merkel, whoever that is. Current chancellor of Germany, I think.
I don't know.
Oh, there's a Chewy one! Awesome!
Oh, it's like dripping out of him. Or is that his tail?
I think that might be his wiener.
Oh.
You wouldn't be... Caganer people, you wouldn't be able to see Chewbacca's wiener. Everybody who knows about Star Wars knows this. Come on. Also, that would be a terrible mess to clean up out of the backside of his hair.
I mean, he still has to poop, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, you would assume. The These Kaganaires are apparently shitting gold.
Yeah, I guess it fits in with the fertility thing.
Yeah. There's also a Darth Vader one.
Yeah, naturally.
I mean, obviously, if there's a Chewie one, there's got to be a Darth Vader.
I mean, which of these would you go for if you were to...
Oh, God. Seeing the choices, I can't even imagine which one I'd like to go for.
I could see you spending a good hour trying to decide and maybe then settling on 2.
Yeah, probably so.
Is that King Ralph?
Who, that one?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's Prince William or Harry or whoever.
Prince William, yeah.
It kind of looks like King Ralph, though. That would be great. Nelson Mandela.
Yep. All right, let's... What? Somebody photoshopped a picture of the Chocolate Rain guy's head on top of a Kaganaire. I'd buy that one. Chocolate Rain, dropping trow and shit in Christmas time. Chocolate Rain.
It's right on the nose, that one.
And a Yoda. I'd have to go with the Yoda.
Is the Yoda bent over?
Yeah. It's more like he's already in the crouching position.
Yeah.
Anyway, because he's Yoda, he's old. So they just kind of cut out the backside of his robe so you can see his butt. And his poops are green as well. So
no, naturally.
Makes sense, yeah. He eats a lot of lichen.
Well, he does live on a swamp planet, you know.
In the Dagobah system.
I don't see Yoda as being a meat eater at all. Although I guess if you live in the swamp, you kind of eat what you can.
Yeah, he would probably eat a lot of bugs.
Yeah, probably more bugs and algae.
That's where you get your protein from. So
yeah,
and those dragonflies have got to be fucking huge.
But you saw when Luke landed how interested he was in getting like that protein bar that Luke had, fighting R2 for it.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Maybe that's why Yoda's dying.
He's just not getting enough protein in his diet.
They don't have the McRib on Dagobah.
Very hungry I am.
I like the Santa pooping. I just think that's super meta.
Yeah. There's a Batman and a sumo wrestler. Can we get off this subject? I can look at this for hours. All right, what's your next one there? Right after.
Next one is the Ukraine. They decorate their Christmas trees with fake spider webs.
Fake spider webs? Why?
Yep. Because there's a story from folklore where there was a woman in the Ukraine who was so poor she couldn't afford a Christmas tree.
Okay.
She scrimped and saved and finally was able to buy a Christmas tree, but spent all of her money and had no money for decorations. And apparently didn't know how to make things or hang a fucking shoelace on it or something. So she went to sleep with her children, and when she woke up in the morning, spiders had spun webs all over her Christmas tree. And when the sun hit the spider webs, it turned them into strands of gold and silver.
Oh. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it is kind of nice.
And that's where tinsel comes from.
I don't know. That would be cool if it was.
Yeah.
Probably not, but that would be cool if that's what it was.
Agreed.
It's
really kind of a sad story, but it has a happy ending. I like it.
I just love the fact that you can buy a Christmas tree, but you can't put any ornaments on it. I mean, that's just like the epitome of poor, you know? I finally scrimped and saved and bought a Christmas tree, but I don't have any ornaments for it.
Right.
I mean, fuck, you can get like 10 ornaments for $1 at the dollar store.
We have a very small tree this year. It's one of those little guys, and I don't even have it plugged in. It's not decorated yet.
Yeah, you just don't enjoy fun.
I put up the lights. Thank you very much.
I mean, you just don't even have your Christmas tree plugged in. Yeah. Somebody gave you a giant Christmas tree last week, and you didn't set it up at all.
Yeah.
You have room for it.
We don't have the ornaments and stuff to fill that freaking thing. It is huge.
So you're like the woman from the Ukraine.
I am.
You have a Christmas tree.
Maybe I should put it up and let spiders all over it.
Yeah.
The teacher would love that.
I have boxes and boxes of spiders at my house. You can have some of them, yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Do they spin silver and gold?
And they spin regular webs, but you just gotta let the sun hit them.
Oh, so that means I'm gonna have to take down my plastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that means I'm gonna have to look at the sun for a minute.
Yeah. We both don't like the sun. The sun is our enemy.
I like the sun. Alright, Iceland.
Iceland.
You are going to enjoy this one, I think.
As if I haven't enjoyed the other ones yet.
There's a creature called the Jalakoturin, or translated, the Yule Cat.
Okay.
This is a black cat who roams the wilderness of Iceland
Okay.
around Christmas time. This is so good. It's used to frighten children.
Okay.
They warn their children of the Jolakaturin.
Let me see that.
Yeah, pronounce that better than I did. There's like extra T's and N's and a K in there.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. Icelandic pronunciation is kind of like Russian, where you have those funky letters and you have no idea what sound they make.
So you just kind of got to guess.
Icelandic uses regular letters, but they make completely different sounds from what you would expect.
Little known fact, the Icelandic language
Uh-huh.
doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah?
People just go around saying weird shit and writing out letters, and everybody just kind of understands each other.
Huh.
So
Interesting. All right, so tell me
there's a
more
fun
about the
fact I
cat.
made up. So this cat roams the wilderness
Right.
and eats anybody who has not bought new clothes for Christmas Eve service. It punishes people who haven't worked hard enough in the last year, is what it does.
Okay, I gotcha.
Specifically targeting people who haven't bought new clothes for Christmas Eve, because you clearly haven't worked hard enough if you can't buy new clothes for Christmas Eve. I mean, come on.
So even if you did bust your ass all year, but you have nothing to show for it because you're like, us and spend all of our money on bills.
On Christmas ornaments, yeah.
Yeah, on bills. We're still going to get eaten by this cat because we can't afford
New Christmas clothes, yeah.
Christmas clothes.
I would get eaten.
Yeah.
I haven't bought new Christmas Eve clothes.
Right, neither have I.
I get most of my clothes for the year on Christmas.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, cool new pants I'll never wear. Thank you. Looking up pictures of the Yule Cat, though, it looks exactly like the cat that's on the front of Black Cat Fireworks.
Oh, yeah?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, its whiskers are all singed and it's super angry looking.
Nice. That's cool.
And then my final one here. I found a shit ton of these, but
Yeah.
I only picked some of the good ones. I mean, there's all kinds of other weird ones, but nothing major. This one is, and you probably know this already, but do you know what the traditional Christmas meal in Japan is?
No.
1% of the Japanese population celebrates Christmas. 1% is Christian.
Right.
So, and this has been a tradition since 1974.
Okay.
Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, KFC.
Really?
Yep. KFC came to Japan in 1970
Okay.
with cooperation from Mitsubishi. And from 1970 to 1973, they were losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year because nobody wanted KFC.
Right.
And then in one location, one of the managers noticed that Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, foreigners, Americans who celebrate Christmas would come in and buy chicken because you can't really get turkey in Japan.
Right.
Or probably not very easily get turkey in Japan, so chicken was the next best thing.
Gotcha.
So this manager had the bright idea and talked to his higher-ups and said, hey, people are coming in Christmas Day for chicken. And I was reading interviews with some younger Japanese college students.
Yeah.
Some of them said, I don't even know what the difference between chicken and turkey is.
Oh, wow.
So I guess turkey is just not eaten there very often.
Yeah.
So in 1974, KFC started a very successful ad campaign called Kurisumasu Niwa Kentucky, which...
I can only imagine what this translates to.
Christmas with Kentucky. You have to order up to 2 months in advance
Okay.
to get your food Christmas Day.
Wow.
And where here in America we have the, like, Christmas, or not Christmas, but like the chicken buckets.
Yeah.
Bucket of chicken. Over there, I think you'll appreciate this. This sounds like something you would enjoy. It's called a party barrel.
Why do you think I'd enjoy that, Brandon?
I mean, just which sounds grosser to you? A bucket of chicken or a barrel of chicken? I mean, barrels are bigger than buckets.
Yeah.
But either way, it just sounds gross. Because I think a bucket of chicken, I think like somebody just throwing slop into a trough. A barrel of chicken at least implies it's in a container that, hasn't also had feces in it.
So what you're alluding to is that I'm a pig who would eat slop from a barrel.
No, I'm just saying that you, much like Donkey Kong,
Right.
enjoy hoisting barrels above your head for whatever reason you need.
That's true.
Throwing
Usually,
them at plumbers.
Yeah. That's usually what I do with them, especially when I light them on fire.
If you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken on
That's
Christmas...
why I have to do all of my own plumbing.
That's true.
Yeah.
You chase them away.
Yeah.
And that's why you have all those women in cages in your basement.
Can't even help myself.
There's...
And that overstock of barrels. I just don't know what to do with them since I can't
What am I
get
supposed to
the
do?
plumbing. Yeah.
There is easily a 2-hour wait, if not longer, if you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken Christmas Eve or Christmas Day to sit down and eat.
Wow.
The party barrel in 2013 runs about $40 US.
Okay.
And in it, and I saw a picture of it, the party barrel is like this big. It's like 1.5 feet tall.
Right. As we all know, your ability to judge.
To judge height, yeah.
Yeah.
It comes with potato wedges, chicken,
Gotcha.
a salad,
Uh-huh.
champagne, a commemorative plate,
Oh, that's pleasant.
and a chocolate Christmas cake. Because Christmas cake is also something that they do in Japan.
Right.
Christmas Eve, they eat Christmas cakes. Also, Christmas cakes are super popular. After the 25th, any extra Christmas cakes are thrown away because they're considered kind of unwanted after the 25th.
Okay.
Which leads to Christmas cake also being a slang term for a single woman who is 25 or older. Isn't that super harsh? Like, yeah, she's a real Christmas cake.
She's a real Christmas cakeroo.
Go on YouTube real quick and look up KFC Japan commercial.
Okay.
Or KFC Japan Christmas commercial and play it in the background. It is nuts. I couldn't find the original commercial, but in December, KFC makes 4 to 5 times as much money in that month as they do in any other month. Yeah, play that top one there. Turn it up a little bit so it'll pick up on the speakers, because it is...
Well, the way I have it fed...
It just goes
go
through?
right yeah.
Okay.
Ram, you demon with technology?
ケンタッキークリスマスクリスマスが今年もやってくる悲しかった出来事を消し去るようにさあパジャマを脱いだら出かけよう少し涼しくなる
So what we've got is a bunch of
23、24、25日のご予約はお早めに
Japanese children holding buckets of KFC.
Dancing around.
An adult woman dressed as, like, sort of sexy Santa who is holding a bucket above her head and dancing around as well.
Yeah.
All on a giant calendar.
Celebrating the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of Christmas. It's not the weirdest Japanese commercial I've ever seen.
Well, you know how there's that stigma that, like, oh, Japan is so weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's a cultural thing for the most part. And I think this is one of the least weird things.
Yeah.
It's kind of shocking to hear, like, yeah, KFC is just a traditional part of Christmas in Japan. But when you look into it, it kind of makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like, well, they didn't really celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
Most of them are Shinto.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Still, again, like I said, not the weirdest thing I've ever seen to come out of Japan, by far.
And it's such great marketing for KFC.
Yeah.
You know, it's been going on for 30, 40 years now, since 1974. So yeah, 40-some years.
Yeah.
Or right at 40 years. That's perfect. To just be a brand that has become synonymous with Christmas.
And that bucket is huge.
I watched a YouTube video of somebody opening it, and it's like 1.5 feet. It's gigantic.
That's awesome. I would totally go to Japan for that. Or, just order 2 and put them in my own bucket.
Well, you can get the same amount of food in America
for like a quarter of the price.
for like $20, yeah.
Go to the local booze and puking shop and buy my own bottle of wine to go with it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Get some Mad Dog.
Yeah.
Some strawberry banana Mad Dog. Ugh. Also, totally off subject from anything, but food that's served in Japan, fast food that's not served here. At Wendy's in Japan, for $14, you can get a foie gras and portobello burger.
Foie gras?
Foie gras.
Foie gras.
Is it?
Yes, it's foie gras.
Foie.
Foie.
You sure French. It's not faux?
It's Frenchy. Foie gras.
Faux grass?
Faux grass. It's faux grass.
Alright, what do you got about this bullshit holiday you're going to talk about here?
Oh my god, Festivus. Festivus for the rest of us. If anybody has ever brought up Seinfeld near me, they know my hatred for it.
The show?
Yes, I can't stand Seinfeld. I just
like the entire show, or is it Jerry Seinfeld that you don't like?
Pretty much.
And then
all
from
of it.
there it kind of emanates out.
Yeah, pretty much all of it. I just don't like the way it's presented. It's awkward comedy, and I'm not a huge fan of awkward comedy. I don't like seeing people in awkward situations and having crazy things happen to... But there's this underlying sarcasm and cynicism. Well, I guess it's not really underlying, it's pretty prevalent, but throughout the whole show that just rubs me the wrong way. So I just don't like Seinfeld.
Fair enough. I think you're totally wrong and stupid for not liking Seinfeld, but okay.
And that's exactly the kind of humor that I don't like from it, thank you. You're like, oh no, I was being serious.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a joke, so okay.
So, Festivus hit the public eye via Seinfeld.
It was George's family that celebrated Festivus.
It was George's family. Frank, his father, created the holiday. But the actual holiday itself came from Dan O'Keefe's family, who was one of the writers of that script. So there are a lot of traditions for this holiday, including the airing of grievances, and these are all mostly from the show.
Well, and here's the thing, is you brought up you wanted to talk about Festivus, and I didn't even realize it was, you know, I'll see people post on Facebook every year, like, Happy Festivus, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm making a jerking off motion. You can't see, listeners, but I'm making a jerking off motion with my hand.
Yeah.
I just thought it was one of those things like people saying Turkey Day, which makes me want to puke for some reason. But yeah, apparently people talk about it and celebrate it.
Yeah, in some portions, people... And I get the idea of kind of a need for it's basically... The Seinfeld episode in which it first appears alludes to it being an alternative to the pressures of Christmas and the commercialism that comes along with it. Whereas I think there's a lot of information you can actually look up. Dan O'Keefe himself wrote a book about it, and there's been several references, other places and books written about it. And I think he said something to the effect of Festivus could kind of happen anytime there was some family tension.
So his family actually did the things that are...
Some of the things. Right.
Probably not the wrestling contest part.
Yeah, I don't think the wrestling contest part, and the actual aluminum pole was not part of his family's. That came from one of the other writers. So there are several traditions that we can glean from the actual episode, which includes the airing of grievances, where immediately after Festivus dinner, people discuss how they've been disappointed by others in the past year. Feats of strength, which happens a little after the dinner. The head of the household chooses a person to wrestle, and the tradition is technically supposed to continue until the head of the household is pinned.
Mm-hmm.
The aluminum pole, which is just a bare aluminum pole in which Frank Costanza says, I find tinsel distracting. That's the only reason for it. Festivus dinner, where supposedly no alcohol is served.
Is there a date for Festivus? Does it fall on an actual date?
I think it's like the 23rd.
Okay.
Is when it's supposed to be celebrated. And then there are also Festivus miracles, which are easily explainable happenings.
Yeah.
Just everyday things that happen. So, as I said, Dan O'Keefe is a scriptwriter was a scriptwriter for Seinfeld, who originally came up with the idea of the episode. And I would probably think that it would be a pretty neat idea, except for the fact that it came from Seinfeld.
Yeah, I was going to ask whether you hated it because of the idea or because it was on Seinfeld.
Yeah, I'm not... just because they're so synonymous with each other, I don't know if I can make any differentiation. But that leads me to the idea that people have nowadays where you can't say Merry Christmas to people, you have to say Happy Holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Where businesses, especially retail, they don't want you saying Merry Christmas. They don't want to offend anybody. And I don't want to be one of those, people who are like, well, our country was founded on Christian ideals and blah, 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 and yada, yada. That's not really the case. I mean, most of our founding fathers, while saying they were Christian, were pretty shitty Christians as far as it went. They were scientists and scholars, and they didn't put much stock in religion.
Yeah.
They were more worried about the here and now instead of the hereafter.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I mean, in my mind, people should just say what they feel like saying. If you want to say Merry Christmas to a Jewish person, then they should say, hey, thanks, Happy Hanukkah to you, or something like that.
Yeah.
Just nonchalant, just say whatever holiday you are celebrating and good on you for that. You know, our country is a melting pot of different religions and ethnicities, and everybody celebrates their own thing. And, I mean, even to the point of Festivus, if somebody said, you know, Happy Festivus to me, I'd say, hey, Merry Christmas to you.
You'd roll your eyes and then say Merry Christmas to you.
I would internally roll my eyes, but I mean, if that's what they want to celebrate, good on them. And I'm not going to fault anybody, and I'm not going to get insulted if somebody tells me Happy Hanukkah just because I happen to be wearing a yarmulke.
You just happen to be wearing one?
Yeah, just because I like the style, not because I'm Jewish.
It looks good with a smart suit. What can I say?
What can I say?
See, I fall directly in the middle. I think the whole uprising and being pissed about, oh, they're taking away Christmas and they're saying Happy Holidays. Just fucking get over it.
Yeah.
Nobody's stealing Christmas. And also in the same boat, being all shitty and saying, well, I don't celebrate Christmas, so don't wish me a Merry Christmas, is just as stupid.
I agree.
It's like, just fucking get over it. Like, somebody says Merry Christmas to you and you're a Satanist. You don't celebrate. I'm not Christian at all. I'm an atheist or whatever. Okay. Who cares? Yeah. Say Merry Christmas. It's the polite way that people say, like, have a good one.
Yeah.
You know, for 1 month out of the year, people say Merry Christmas instead of like, thanks for shopping here or whatever.
Right.
It just seems like the most pedantic bullshit to care about.
I agree. And that's about how I feel about it as well.
And going into the whole, like, the idea that there's a war on Christmas. You've seen this in the news for a while now.
There's a war on everything. All of the news channels want to make everything a war about something. And it's just like, man, I hate news today. That's why I don't watch it.
There's no war on Christmas. People love Christmas.
Yeah.
The people who say, oh, well, we shouldn't have a Christmas tree in the town square or whatever because it infringes on my religious beliefs or my non-religious beliefs or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
If you have your town hall or your magistrate's office or whatever, and you've got the 10 Commandments sitting up there right outside a court, yeah, I can see where you would think, I'm not a Christian. That's a little daunting. It's supposed to be a separation of church and state.
Yeah.
But a fucking Christmas tree is like, it's just Christmas. People choose to make Christmas as holy or as non-holy as they want to.
Right.
There are just as many families who don't go to church, who don't even pray to Jesus or whatever. Little baby Jesus in the manger praying to him. They just throw up a Christmas tree. Hey, Merry Christmas. Here's some presents,
Yeah.
Let's all eat some KFC and fall asleep at noon.
Right.
So, I don't know. But, on the topic of things I do hate, and that I do think should be eradicated from Christmas altogether, more than anything else, the Jews. No. The song Santa Baby.
Oh.
God, I hate that song. I hate that song so much. Every year somebody covers it. It gets sexier and sexier, the way they sing it. And all I can think about is like, you're just singing a song about how you want to fuck Santa. And this is just played on the radio.
Yeah.
And there's nothing inherently, they're not like singing about blowing him or anything, but it's heavily implied by the way they're like, Santa baby, like all dripping honey out of their mouths while they're singing it. It just grosses me out. I'm just sick of it. That's the one Christmas thing that I just...
I'll give you that.
I've managed to avoid it so far, but I know I'm not going to. Like a shotgun blast, eventually, at some point, I'm going to hear even a snippet of Santa Baby.
Yeah.
And I'm going to want to slit my wrists.
The thing that I think needs to be eradicated from Christmas is how it continually comes earlier and earlier within the year. This year, it was so much more prevalent than even the year before, where it's happening right after Halloween. It's like they're skipping Thanksgiving. And you said Thanksgiving is your favorite holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thanksgiving and then Christmas.
Yeah. So from the day after I don't even think from the day after Thanksgiving. I think December 1st to December 25th is all we should really have to be like, okay, Merry Christmas,
You sound like such a grumpy old man. Not even the day after Thanksgiving. December 1st.
December 1st.
Mark it on your calendars, you assholes.
Don't even start buying your Christmas presents until December 1st. And you know what? Scale down your Christmas presents. You don't have to buy a fucking computer for everybody in the house. I mean, if I'm going to go with the old man trope as well.
I was going to say, is this just what you say?
Give little Jimmy a top.
Well, this is just what you say so people don't expect much from you, right?
Yes, exactly. I have no money, and you all make me look bad.
I mean, you're not doing something as, like, cheap as just baking shit for all your friends. So there's that at least.
That's exactly what I'm doing this Christmas. We're baking stuff. Hey, love goes into that.
Are you making
right?
Are you making the cookies from scratch, or are you just using, like, prepackaged cookie dough?
Half of the cookies we're making from scratch. And I'm dipping those pretzels.
Oh, you haven't dipped them yet?
Oh, I have half of them dipped. I don't have the other half dipped.
Did you just tire out halfway through dipping a pretzel in chocolate?
Do you know how hard it is?
Ooh, I am beat.
Do you know how hard it is to dip like 30-some pretzels and keep the temperature of the chocolate even when you don't have the proper gear?
30 pretzels.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't like giant pretzels, right? You're talking like a fucking bag of Snyder's pretzels.
No, they're the full sticks. They're this long.
Are you covering the whole thing in chocolate?
All except for the end, yeah.
Where you're holding it?
Yeah.
Still.
It's pretty impressive. Shut up. You'll love it when I give one to you, all right?
Oh, I'm sure I'll love it. I love chocolate dip pretzels, especially white chocolate dip pretzels.
Well, these are peppermint.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't care for peppermint a whole lot.
I don't dislike it.
It's a fairly light peppermint.
Not a big peppermint fan.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that you dip like 10 of them, sweat dripping from your brow, and you're just like,
It's
gotta take a break.
It's not that. It's just keeping that.
Just chugging 5-hour energies. So you get the energy to dip them.
It's keeping that chocolate temperature even when I don't have a double boiler. And
You need a fondue pot.
I know, right? And then all of that chocolate goes to waste. You can only dip so many, and then you gotta fill it up.
And then your elbow starts hurting.
Yeah. Worse than masturbating for a
Gotta
day.
put your dipping arm in a cast for the night, ice it down.
Yeah. It's really hard on the tendons.
There's like 3 gram pretzels are really, really wearing you out. Alright, so what are some Christmas traditions you had in your house? Traditionally, from all the episodes we've done, you had absolutely no traditions in your house whatsoever.
Right.
You don't remember your childhood at all, so.
I really don't.
Do you know what Christmas is?
My Christmas traditions were...
A tree inside, what is this?
My Christmas traditions were spending the days coming up to Christmas trying to find the Christmas presents so I wouldn't be surprised. Inadvertently. As a kid, you know your parents hide them somewhere.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned this before on earlier podcast.
One that never came out, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can go over it again.
Okay. Well, we'll get to yours here in a second then. We would always look for our Christmas presents and, see what we got beforehand. And then we'd have to feign surprise when Christmas happened.
Didn't you think that kind of ruined the fun?
At the time, no, because it was fun to try and search for the presents.
Mm-hmm.
And then not get caught and not get in trouble for it,
What would happen if you were found out that you'd found them?
I don't know if we ever did. I think they knew that we did find them, but it was just like, well, fuck it, the kids found the presents.
Is that just like a dance that parents do?
I think so.
They hide the presents, they know the kids are probably going to look for them.
Yeah, I would say so. For a while, my stepdad was on a decorate the tree in an Elizabethan style, so the tree was always very... there was a lot of gold and silver, there wasn't colored lights, it was just regular yellowish white lights.
That's hilarious, knowing your stepdad.
Yeah.
Being a multiple gun owner and stuff, and just a very, he's a very guy.
Yeah.
So it's kind of surprising to hear you say the phrase he was very into decorating it in an Elizabethan style.
Yeah, so...
It was amazing how he managed to animate the tree to deny refills of porridge to orphans.
Yeah, that was really good. Please, sir, may I have some more? More?
That is an angry tree.
It was.
My parents would always hide the gifts in their bedroom. Once it hit about December 1st, the door was locked. We just couldn't get in there, so.
Yeah.
My mom now, because there were bedrooms, besides their bedroom, there were 4 other bedrooms for the kids, because there were 6 of us living there growing up.
Right.
Now that there are no more kids living there, one of the bedrooms she's converted into a Christmas room. So all year round, it's still a bedroom, there's still a bed, but all year round it's decorated with hundreds of snowmen and little light up Christmas trees. It's kind of creepy in there. But
your mom always had a thing for snowmen.
Oh, she loves snowmen.
Yeah.
And snowman collectors are a little flaky. So she now hides the Christmas presents in there and keeps the door locked.
Right.
We were just really unable to search for Christmas presents growing up.
My favorite comic that you ever drew was, and it's just a hidden joke in the comic, was the mine dump.
Yeah.
he drew Hitler sitting on a toilet reading something. And then behind the toilet was a painting of a snowman, and on the bottom it said, "Snowman collectors are a little flaky."
And I drew that exactly from something my mom had hanging up in the bathroom.
Exactly. And it cracked me up because I knew it was an inside joke, and it was hilarious.
We would all sleep
It's also equally funny that you associate your mom with Hitler.
I don't associate my mom with Hitler anymore, but we would all sleep in my oldest sister's bedroom Christmas Eve, which is now the Christmas room. And the bedrooms were a long hallway, and there were 2 doors on each side.
Yeah.
So we would sleep in her room with the door open, and then the bedroom directly across the hall with that door open, and the doors would touch so it would block the hallway.
Right.
Because if you're looking out the hallway from that bedroom, you could see where the Christmas tree was.
Right.
So my parents would move the doors like a fake wall. So one of the best things was waking up, and my parents had a hard rule of 6 a.m. Don't care if you wake up at 4 a.m., lay there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we would, wake up at 5 or 4:30 and just be staring at the clock and talking and stuff. And we couldn't turn on the TV because my parents would hear it and come yell at us.
Yeah.
So we would kind of the smaller of us would kind of creep out on the hardwood floors and peek through the door and then come back I saw a bike. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of good Christmas memories there.
That's cool. There were some years where we would open presents on Christmas Eve, or maybe just one on Christmas Eve and the rest for the next day. While Vanessa and her husband had their place, we would go over on Christmas morning to watch the grandkids open presents.
Would you bring over your birch switches then with you?
Yeah, usually. Whenever they started getting whiny about something, I'd just take them into another room and beat them to death.
To death? Wow, that's pretty harsh.
Well, it was, the dark forest was right there, so it was just easier to pull a limp body than a screaming one.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Story of my life. When did you find out that Santa wasn't real?
I don't remember the exact time when I found out that Santa wasn't real, because I never stopped believing.
Were you, really young?
Like I said, I have no concept.
You just have no recollection of your childhood, really?
No, time is one of those things. Whereas distance and size escapes you, time is one of those things that escapes me.
I remember when I found out there was no Santa very clearly.
Oh, yeah?
It was November, maybe. Christmas tree wasn't up yet. And I was walking in a straight line back and forth in my parents' living room. My mom was sitting on the couch, and I was walking in a straight line and also spinning in circles to Don McLean, American Pie. That used to be one of the things I would do, is I would put on the song American Pie on vinyl and just spin in circles. I spun in circles 8 times straight to that song. That song's like a 6-minute song. So, you do the math. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but try to beat it. Go ahead. So I'm walking in a line, and just randomly I say to my mom, "Hey, Mom, is Santa real?" And she said those immortal words that every kid hears at some point in their life. What do you think? So that's when I learned there was no Santa. I was probably 8, 9, somewhere in there.
I would say that that's probably about the appropriate age when kids kind of get smart enough to know that there's not some magical fat man sliding into their house in the middle of the night.
Sliding, just oozing through the chimney.
Well, there's no chimneys anymore, really, so he's got to get in somehow. So I imagine he just turns into a puddle of ooze and just slips through the door.
Well, do you have any Christmas traditions now that you do? Like any songs you listen to around Christmas time or movies you watch?
Well, for those of you who don't know, I was actually born on Christmas.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even bring that up. I totally didn't even make that connection. That's your birthday.
So, Christmas has always had a very warm place in my heart, and when I see it being too commercialized and everybody just busting their asses to get gifts for people, it kind of hurts me, because to me, Christmas is really all about just loving one another. The rest of the year, you can fucking hate your fellow man, but for this month of the year, you should really do your best to show how good of a person you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Christmas music because of that fact. There's a happiness. There's a joyousness associated with Christmas music. especially the older stuff. I mean, I love some of Nat King Cole's Christmas. Dean Martin. I love Dean Martin Christmas music.
Yeah, he does good Christmas music.
That man's voice in a Christmas song just makes me wet.
Oh. God. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm covered in snow.
Oh, okay. I thought... never mind.
Frank Sinatra is pretty good as well, but man, Dean Martin... I love his voice in Christmas.
I mean, he just fucks you with his voice.
He does.
When he's singing to you about Christmas.
He does. He is putting that joyous Christmas bug right in your taint.
Yeah. He gets you ear pregnant.
So, and like I said, I mean, newer Christmas music kind of, it's what it is, but those older 40s and 50s songs, just the style that's associated with it, you know.
Like, they're singing about Christmas, but they've still got a martini in their hand.
Yeah, cigar.
Yeah, they're winking at somebody in the audience.
It's like a peppermint martini or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep, so that's, while it's not a particular tradition, it's just something that lives on in the love of this holiday. I think, as far as traditions go, now that I have like a tablet and I have Pandora on, I will usually put up a Christmas channel. Is that what they call them? Channels?
Yeah.
Christmas channel. And
station.
Station, there we go. I'll put on a Christmas station and usually type in Dean Martin and some of those others to...
Have you done that yet this year, though?
Well, I usually do it right on Christmas. Like,
gotcha.
Whenever I go to somebody's house and just have it kind of playing in the background. Because, yeah, retail stores and stuff, they shove that Christmas music down your throat as soon as Halloween ends. And I know people get tired of hearing it, especially if they're out doing a lot of shopping. Anymore, we do most of our Christmas shopping online.
I have managed to avoid Christmas shopping so far.
Have you?
I've got stuff for the kids. I've got something for my girlfriend ordered. But besides that, yeah, like I've got the main stuff for the kids, but I still have to go out and get like, you know, the little stocking stuffers and shit. Like they've got their big toys. But now, you know, you got to give them like a couple things to open still.
Right.
Littler things, you know, oh, it's a stuffed animal wrapped up cool or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what kids enjoy. And I know that maybe the proper lesson is to teach them, like, you know, it's not about how much you get, it's what you get and blah, blah, blah. But my parents weren't super big on that. It was like, hey, you know, here's a bunch of small things to open. Right. And I have really fond memories of Christmas. So maybe they'll learn that somewhere else, but I'm not going to be the one to teach them.
Right. My OCD dictates that, especially being with Ginger, she tends to have more income to buy stuff. And there are two things about me. Number one, I'm a bit OCD. And if she's like, well, you know, I got you 4 or 5 things for Christmas, I'm like, well, now I have to find 3 or 4 or 5 things for her because there's got to be an equalness to it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter the money spent so much. It's just having a similar number of things to give to each other. But at the same token, I am terrible at buying things for people for Christmas. It's like, oh, you know me. You know what you can get me. No, I don't. I just don't think that way.
I'm the same way. I have traditionally been very bad at buying Christmas gifts, especially for significant others.
Yeah.
I'll get something that like, oh, hey, you mentioned you wanted one of these or whatever. And I get them. They're like, oh, cool. And then never touch it again.
Yeah.
So
I've got her a few things that I'm certain she'll like. A few things I bought off of her wish list, her Amazon wish list.
So she just sets up an Amazon wish list and you buy shit off that?
Yep.
See, that's effective.
Yeah,
that's good because it's like she knows she's going to get something she wants.
Right.
It takes the pressure off of you a little bit.
Exactly. There are a few magic cards that she was wanting. I priced all the ones that she wanted, and it came out to like $34. Which, for some of the cards, I can see why, but it's just like, I don't know if I can get all of these right now. But I'd like to hit some of the local shops, or, well, I'll probably have you hit some of the local shops and see if you can find some of these.
Because nothing says romance on Christmas like sending your friend to buy your significant other's Christmas presents.
You spend way more time at the shop than I do. So
yeah, true.
That's really the only... I don't get down there very often.
I went to Walmart a couple days ago to get some basic shopping and a couple Christmas things done.
Yeah.
God, that was a shit show. It was so horrible there. It was like 6 o'clock on a weekday.
Yeah.
And it was just awful. And people were like scooting around. I almost get ran into with the carts. Like people in the parking lot almost hit me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy how it goes, where the more people are out, the more everyone is irritated. So they all just drive like assholes.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I usually don't go to Walmart until after midnight.
Yeah.
Because that's when they let it all hang out.
I don't really have any specific Christmas traditions I do. I mean, I have the traditional stuff with my family or whatever.
Yeah.
But, it's not that interesting to talk about. Going to my family's house, my grandma's and all that.
Right.
One of my favorite things, and this has been going on for 10 years or so at least, every Christmas morning when we go over to my parents' house, my mom makes breakfast casserole. It's become a Christmas tradition.
That's cool.
And it's just, breakfast casserole is delicious.
Yeah.
It's the one day a year I eat it. I could buy the shit and make it every day if I wanted to.
Right.
I just eat it Christmas Day. So breakfast casserole has become synonymous with Christmas for me.
So what does she usually put in her breakfast casserole?
Sausage, eggs, cheese, hash browns, I think.
Uh-huh.
Real simple. And then just baked.
So nothing like peppers or things of that nature?
Nope.
Doesn't get too fancy with it. Just
No.
your basic breakfast fodder.
Yeah. Whatever doesn't take that long to cook, I think.
Right. Well, I mean, you're doing a casserole, so assumedly it's just slapped together, mixed, and thrown into
Yeah, you're just baking shit anyway. Christmas songs every year. I have to listen to Christmas Time in Hollis, Queens, at least a few times. Vandals' Oi to the World.
Right.
Great Christmas song.
I listen to that one all year round, so...
There's another Christmas song in the past few years I've listened to every Christmas. It's a Jonathan Colton song that's going to be at the end of this episode.
Right. Because we can legally use it.
Fairy Tale of New York is a Christmas song. I don't remember who it's by.
Okay.
It's a punk Irish band that does it.
But not Flogging Molly.
No, it's not Flogging Molly.
Right.
It's like the Dubliners or something weird like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have any Christmas movies. I've never seen The Christmas Story, any of that stuff, so.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't believe you haven't seen the Christmas movie.
I'm gonna sit down this year. Bree has talked about how I really need to see it. She put it on last year and I was supposed to watch it, but I was playing Xbox, so I didn't really pay attention.
Right.
So I told her this year I'd actually sit down and watch it.
Yeah, we were going to talk about some Christmas movies, but I think we're pretty close to time anyway, and we didn't really look them up so much.
Yeah, the only two Christmas movies I can recommend that I enjoy are Jack Frost. Not the Michael Keaton one, but the horror movie Jack Frost.
Okay.
Where a bank robber is on the run from the police, speeding in his car. His car crashes into a science truck full of genetic altering material.
Right.
He falls out of the car in the crash, dying. This genetic material spills over him while he's in the snow, and he just liquefies into a puddle and then reconstitutes himself as a snowman who is a serial killer. So it's about a serial killing snowman. There's multiples of those.
Right.
And then Silent Night, Deadly Night and Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 are both good movies. It's about a guy whose family was killed when he was a kid by a man dressed as Santa Claus. So now whenever he sees Santa Claus, he goes insane. Cut to him at like 18 or 19 years old, and this is maybe 20 minutes into the movie. He's turned his life around, and he's like, golly gee, good old boy working at a toy store.
Okay.
And they force him to dress up as Santa for the children.
Okay.
So dressing up as Santa drives him insane, and then he goes on a murder spree as Santa, dressed as Santa Claus.
My favorite Christmas movies, A Christmas Story. I can't really watch it now because it's been played to death, but on rare occasions I'll still enjoy just snippets of it.
Ernest Saves Christmas, a classic.
A Christmas Carol, almost any iteration of it I enjoy.
Including the Muppets, Christmas Carol.
Muppets, and Scrooged with
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
I just watched Scrooge a week or so ago. It was pretty good.
That's another one that also got really overplayed during the 10 years after it was released. So I have a kind of a hard time watching it, but I still enjoy snippets of it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are some of my favorite ones. Like I said, A Christmas Carol, I love watching it. I think Patrick Stewart did one where he plays Scrooge.
Yeah, he did.
And I think that one's probably my favorite. Although I did just see the one that's computer animated with Jim Carrey playing Ebenezer Scrooge, and that one was pretty good as well.
Have not seen that one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the Christmas movie segment.
Yeah. I think segment is a bit of a stretch to call it that, but okay.
I like how all yours are by and far horror movies.
Oh, Christmas horror movies are great. You can watch Jack Frost 1, 2, and I think 3 on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Silent Night, Deadly Night isn't on there, but there's all kinds of other. Every Friday the 13th movie is on Netflix now, too. Has nothing to do with Christmas, but...
No, but you like those.
Oh, I love them.
I'm not a big horror movie fan.
No, yeah. So a horror-themed Seinfeld would be like your worst nightmare ever.
It would be. Oh, my God. What's the deal with all these murders? So, who are we going to say thanks to this week?
I think it's twofold.
Okay.
I think we should thank Chris, both because of Kris Kringle, and because Chris can be a boy or a girl's name.
Okay.
So we just want to give a shout out to you, Chris. Boy Chris, girl Chris, Santa Claus Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with the Christmas episode.
We hope you enjoyed it.
I hope you're sitting in front of a fireplace right now, eating chocolate-dipped pretzels, looking at a full Christmas tree.
While sailors are out singing Christmas carols at you.
Sailors?
Wassailers?
Oh.
Wassailers?
I thought you were just admitting some weird fantasy you have. Like,
what?
So I'd be sitting up by a fireplace eating chocolate-dipped pretzels while sailors sing me songs.
Not Christmas songs either, but
just,
dirty sailor
songs. Yeah, just... dirty sailor
what
songs.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor?
This is the life.
So thank you, Chris, for listening. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. We're not doing an episode next week.
No, we are not.
Next Wednesday is Christmas Eve.
Right.
So we'll be taking a week off.
Because I don't want to edit on Christmas Eve.
I hope you all have a great Christmas. We'll be recording the Wednesday after that, which will be New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Like, God knows that neither of us really do anything on New Year's Eve, so...
we're pretty boring.
We'll be sitting here at the house recording.
So if you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to hear yourself mentioned on air, why don't you go onto our Facebook page, or iTunes, or Stitcher, which links to Facebook, or freaking wherever you can post on our podcast page. Tell us either one of your Christmas traditions or some memories that you have with your family about Christmas.
Or I'd be interested to hear that one Christmas toy that people always wanted that they never got.
Or that, yeah, that's a good one too. Or if you find a particularly interesting Christmas tradition from another place that you think that we should have mentioned, go ahead and post that up on our Facebook page.
Or considering Remington's love of people being punished on Christmas, if you ever broke an arm on Christmas, you ever accidentally committed vehicular manslaughter on Christmas, share it, let us know.
Yeah, that'll be great reading material. Or you can email us at duelingogres@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at duelingogres. And remember to give us that 5-star review on iTunes or give us a thumbs up on Stitcher because that helps to boost us up the cool kids list. So until the week after next, Ogres, keep your clubs blunt and your tusks sharp.
Good night.
This year has been a little crazy for the Andersons. You may recall we had some trouble last year. The Robot Council had us banished to an asteroid. That hasn't undermined our holiday cheer. And we know it's almost Christmas by the marks we make on the wall. That's our favorite time of year. Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime, where we're working in a mine for our robot overlords. Did I say overlords? I meant protectors. Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime. On every corner there's a giant metal Santa Claus who watches over us with glowing red eyes. They carry weapons and they know if you've been bad or good. Not everybody's good, but everyone tries. And the rocks outside the airlock exude ammonia-scented snow. It's like a winter wonderland. Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime, where we're working in a mine for our robot overlords. Did I say overlords? I meant protectors. Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime. That's all the family news that we're allowed to talk about. We really hope you'll come and visit us soon. I mean, we're literally begging you to visit us and make it quick before they
Message redacted.
Now it's time for Christmas dinner. I think the robot sent us a pie. You know I love my Soylent Green. Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime, where we're working in a mine for our robot overlords. Did I say overlords? I meant protectors. Merry Christmas from Chiron Beta Prime.
Ready when you are.
Okay.
Yeah, that's recording and everything.
Oh.
That's recording and everything, Brandon.
Well, alright then.
All right then. Oh, fuck. Oh. Ow. I wonder if you can hear my neck crack on the podcast.
Probably.
That would be awesome.
You know something I noticed I do that I never thought was an issue until listening both to our recordings and especially in editing the YouTube videos?
Uh-huh.
Whenever I laugh, like a smaller chuckle, I go... And it's super fucking annoying on audio. Maybe not as much for other people, but especially when editing the video, like...
Yeah.
It's good that I hate myself way less than I used to, because it is really difficult to watch myself on video still, because I'm like, ugh, fucking stop slouching so much. You missed a perfect joke there.
Well, it helps to change some habits, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
There are some things that I notice that I do that I try to be aware of.
Such as?
Saying, and things of that nature. Like that.
I feel like I say, a little less, except when I'm reading notes, and then it's still just, and then this, and then,
The hardest part is when we say, or something to that.
And there's not enough pause.
And there's not enough pause for me to cut.
Penis.
Yeah, penis.
Penis.
Umpiness.
Penis.
Umpire penis.
You're out of here!
Oh, I know!
Safe!
There's nothing safe about it, sailor.
I was listening to last week's episode and the fucking 80 minutes of outtakes at the end.
Yeah.
I still think the podcast simulator's a good idea. Have not changed my opinion.
I have not. My opinion on the matter has not changed. And I like to beat women.
I guess I was in the wrong on that one because I let Bree hear it. And I was like, can you believe this shit? And she was just like, I don't see it. And Bree is like one of the most feministy feminists.
So she agreed that
has ever
everybody needs a slap in the face once in a while?
Yeah. She said, people need a slap in the face sometimes. And I was like, Remington doesn't hit women, but the implication with what he was saying is that sometimes a dude needs to hit a woman. And she was like, well, men shouldn't hit women, but he's not wrong that everybody needs a slap in the mouth sometimes. I was like, all right, I guess I'm alone on this one.
I'm not saying that it's okay it's specifically for women. I'm saying people in general, when they're being stupid.
And if you happen to be the one to delve out the slaps, the slap master.
I would be the slap master. The slap master general.
I've
never slapped anybody in the face that I can
Seriously.
recall.
We used to slap each other all the time in high school.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're so well-rounded.
Yeah.
See? My point has been made.
Yeah, but we wouldn't slap each other when we were being like smartasses. We would just like,
yeah.
Just randomly.
Yeah.
We needed slapped in the mouth because we were just going around slapping people.
Well, we'd slap each other.
It's a vicious slap circle.
Masturbation joke.
Do you have the words?
The words? I've got lots of words.
No, the, what this week's is.
Joyous, unless you want something different.
Joyous? Yeah, joyous is good.
Okay. Fuck, I already even had the 10 seconds of silence while you were sitting there on your tablet.
Your tablet.
Kindle. Not Kendall, Kindle.
Oh yeah, did you see the drink I accidentally left in your fridge yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
Did you throw it away?
No.
Okay.
Ginger's like, is this your Parmar cup in here? And I was like, no, that's probably Brandon's.
I was gonna drink it after coffee, but I got the video done so quickly that I locked up your house, I got in the car, I was still in the driveway, car was on, and I remembered I left the drink and was like, I'm not fucking unlocking all those doors and going back in.
What video are you talking about, Brandon?
What do you mean?
What video?
You mean the Retrograders video?
Oh, is that what you were doing? The Retrograders on YouTube, which is our gaming channel? Yeah.
I was editing a video that will be out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A little over 2 weeks.
Now, are we out of content now? Or we still have more? Okay.
No, this Monday will be first part of Zombies. Next Monday will be second part, and then I still have your Cody's Knights of the Round.
Okay.
So we've got a month's worth of content.
Sweet.
I felt like I had to burp.
Oh, there it was. I had to force that one, didn't I?
I chugged water a little too fast.
Hello, ogres, and welcome to episode 30. Thank you for joining us as always on this joyous occasion. Wednesday evening Earth Date. I'm going to redo it. I'm not going to do the Santa Claus voice.
Yeah, that sounded like somebody who was just constipated.
I'm constipated.
Oh!